Hello everyone, and welcome back to Endzone, A World Apart. You might remember, last episode we left things with a decent start, but a shortage on protective clothing and housing. We're going to try and address that today, but first we want to build our tailor's shop, a few more cabins, and then get this second orchard running to fight off any food shortages. We'll queue up our next two recyclers as well. Sorted. Now, we want our tailor's shop to produce activated carbon masks. They take a minimal amount of time longer to make than the standard scarves, but they last longer and provide more protection. And lastly, we'll finish off with the workshop to see off any potential tool shortages. We'll have to set one of our new recyclers up to get metal from scrap, so we'll have two getting cloth for the tailor and another getting metal for the workshop. To make things a little easier logistically, we're going to build a temporary storeroom near to the industrial facilities. We're going to have raw materials stored in there, as well as tools and radiation protection, and all the foodstuffs and herbs are going to stay in the bus for now. Also, we need to move the work area for the scrapyard a touch. And we'll move the gather wood task to this area behind the housing. Then set the forester's lodge to start cutting and replanting, as this building surge is already putting a bit of a dent in our raw materials. As we're coming out of the drought, I'm going to assign a gatherer ready for the food surge, and we'll also assign a tailor to start producing clothing as soon as the shop is built. I'm going to speed things up a little and watch how things play out. There we are, we've got a task. Our villagers need protective clothing. So we've got to build a tailor's shop, we're already doing that, and produce 2 activated carbon masks, which we've already set it to do. If we complete this task, we'll get 5 more masks from thin air. Our roads still haven't been completed, so I'm going to move that up the priority queue at the bus in the hope that once all these buildings are done, the builders will finally get our road links finished. At the moment, we've got a fairly low population for all the tasks we're doing, and I'm not quite at the stage where I want to frantically micromanage everyone, so it's a case of, well, it'll get done when it gets done. So it looks like our tailor's shop is finally complete and we can start tackling that task that we were set. We'll push that storeroom to the front of the queue now, because the quicker we start funneling raw materials there, the better. And this gather wood task is just about done, so we need to be prepared to move that. In fact, I'm just going to do that now to this other area here behind the houses. Quite frustrating that they'll continue dumping wood at the bus until the new storeroom is built, so we need to get that up and running as soon as possible. The clothing shortage is starting to get a little out of control, so I'm going to assign another tailor. Oh, well, maybe not. Task completed, fantastic. I'm still going to have to move some people around because I've just realised our new orchard's been unmanned for 2 seasons. Because we're pretty good for scrap, we'll drop a scrap collector and move them to a farming position. So you can see here how messed up the logistical issue currently is, with the scrappers taking scrap away from the new building to the bus, then picking it up from the bus to take it back to the build location. It's just making everything take a lot longer than it should. And they still have to make another trip to get the last of the scrap. At least it's building now. Unfortunately, once I've set this up, we still have to wait for everything to clear out of the bus. They'll continue pulling resources from that area until it's empty. Well, I think that's how it works anyway. So let's take a look at our population. We're on 19 adults and 11 children, 2 of which are close to adulthood, so we're looking good on population growth for now, but it might be time to consider a few more cabins. We'll get 2 settlers assigned to refiners to immediately start production when they're built, and we'll speed things up again. A new task? I'm not quite sure what they're asking for, but we'll take it anyway. Oh dear. Metal tools, radiation suits and decorations. I don't think we're going to be able to do this because we just don't have the setup for it yet, and it'll be wasting things that we need to be diverting to other stuff at the moment, so we'll abandon that and take the hit. Oh, I feel like a right letdown after reading that. The scrappers have taken down that building, so it might be time to move their work area soon. And we'll keep moving this wood gathering task to another area to keep it ticking over. Back to the waiting game. Actually, no, we'll stop the wood task. We've got a decent resource pool now, so we'll reassign the scrapper and the forester. And it looks like we've got a drought incoming as well, so we better start stockpiling some water. It's 1 of 2 recyclers built, shouldn't be long for the next one. That second cabin's getting resources delivered now. Might be worth in future actually adding another storeroom for raw materials close to the housing to divide things a bit, and then setting specific caps on what we can have if that's possible, just to keep the logistics flowing and resources spread out across the settlement. Another new task. We've got some grumpy children to deal with. They apparently want clothes and toys. Well, clothes we can do, but apparently tools are good toys as well. They also want a school, so we'll get started on that now. The school's a really important building because it lets you educate children in a number of fields, from managing tools and clothing better to better job efficiency. As we're still struggling with clothing, we're going to breed a generation of thrifty so-and-sos who can keep their clothes going until they fall off their backs. We'll just assign a teacher and a technician for our new buildings when they're finally constructed. Again, the logistics issue here is forcing things to take much longer than they should. We've got settlers going to and from the bus to carry resources to the workshop. Luckily, the metal needed's already in the storeroom, so that'll be at least a quick trip. If we had some more spare settlers and builders, it would be far quicker, but I'm not willing to compromise on that at the moment. Our water storage is full, so we're going to set up an upgrade to the cistern. That'll convert it into a water tower, which needs plastic, so we'll have to get the recyclers producing that now. And the school's also up and running. So let's educate some kids on how to use clothes properly. That should stop them wearing their carbon masks as shoes. Finally, our workshop is getting the resources it needs, so let's get some more builders to finish the job quick. And we've just got another task to produce some metal tools. We're churning out neck scarves now, so we'll keep doing that a little longer instead of the carbon masks. Kind of need to look at expanding our water production a little more with a rainwater collector. It's not a priority now, but I may do that in a little bit. Can't believe it's taken us nearly the whole episode, but finally we've got a workshop now to churn out some tools for the kids. And we'll need to switch production from scrap tools to metal to finish the other task. Nice. Hopefully that makes everyone a little happier. We've got quite a few warnings popping up now and we need to sort things quickly. I feel like it's on the verge of getting out of control. We're at least producing metal tools, and the rewards from this task should keep us in a decent position in terms of tool availability. But this is getting tough. I think maybe we need to slow down and just focus on building up a resource pool. The drought's now upon us, so we need to reassign our water carriers and fishermen and get our scrap and wood collection back up and running. We might need to consider getting another tailor and workshop, just to quickly stockpile our tools and clothing and then switch them off until we need them again, until we start researching more efficient ways of production at least. I think it's also a good idea to build a rainwater collector now. Considering our build queue's done, that seems to be the next needed thing, and once the cistern upgrade is finished we should be able to increase the amount of water we have coming in and the amount we can store. Our recycler's currently producing all three materials in small amounts, and I'm thinking about what to do when our localized scrap runs out as well. I don't want to send people too far away. So what we can do is build the scrap collector, which harvests small amounts of scrap that get blown around by the wind. That's more of a long-term goal though. The more pressing is the refinery, which gradually harvests plastic, cloth, metal and electronics from scrap as opposed to having multiple recyclers. To do this we need to start getting research up and running, and I know it's a little early in the game for this, but I'm going to build a research station anyway. It's going to be a big resource drain as it requires tools as part of the build, but I'll take that risk. We'll put it right next to the industry because that's kind of where the main resource pool for this building is at the moment. There we go. Task complete. Now those tools will go straight to the research centre, which gives us a good start. So we'll quickly update on where we are as we come out with another dry season. We've got a fair bit of coal for when we start producing the carbon masks again, a low amount of protective clothing and cloth, population of 35 with a number of homeless, so let's get a shelter built. The shelter is really useful because it provides a large housing area for people who won't reproduce. We can even set it to allow only old and infertile settlers to live there. We'll do that for now and see how we get on. And one last thing before I do finish up this episode is to start up our wood harvesting again. Oh, I need to set the workshop back to metal tools as well. And I think we'll call it there. It's been a bit of a dicey episode. We've made some progress, but the issues we had early game are still there. We need to address those soon because things are kind of teetering on the brink of getting out of control. So it's probably time to focus on expanding our population to start filling in all the new jobs. I mean, I'm still happy where we are. It's not quite panic stations and we're making progress. Anyway, that's enough rambling from me. I've talked a lot this episode, so I just want to thank you all again for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and I'll see you next time.